Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I'm Luke Owen and this is Wrestling News. Last Thursday saw over 20 names fired from WWE as part of the Endeavor merger that has created new company TKO, and this render of a man who really wants pictures of that Spider-Man. Names released included the likes of Mustafa Ali, Aaliyah, Dolph Ziggler, Shanky, and more. So, what's next for these released wrestlers? Well, all of the main roster talent, which would still include Ali and Dana Brooke, have 90-day non-compete clauses, which means they won't be making debuts for anyone like AEW, Impact, RevPro, or the like until late December at the earliest. Top Dollar of Hit Row tweeted that he's taking bookings for January of next year. Now, back in my day, when someone was fired from WWE, they did a 2-hour shoot interview from a hotel room with a couple of bottles of red wine and a crappy mini DV camera and bad audio. Nowadays, former WWE talents either start their own or guest on someone else's podcast like Talk is Jericho, where they can talk about their final few weeks in the company in between Y2J advertising snazzy socks and talking about his band's latest crap single. Or you could start a YouTube channel and create some funny Fightful article headlines, like Maven, for example, who revealed via his YouTube channel that the real reason wrestlers wear underwear underneath their trunks is because you don't want your meat and two veg rattling around during a match. There's a sense of security that you need when you're jumping around, flying through the air. The last thing you want is rattling around of the undercarriage. I would always wear a thong. Why would I wear a thong? Well, because I wanted as little amount of material underneath my trunks. So there you have it, folks. WrestleTalk News once again bringing you the news that matters the most in this crazy world of pro wrestling. One man who might have a few things to say about his release, on the other hand, is Rick Boogs, at least according to the replies he's left on his most recent YouTube channel. Boogs made his on-screen debut for WWE in 2019 when he was in NXT under the name Eric Bugenhagen before moving to SmackDown in 2021 as Shinsuke Nakamura's hype man. An injury during his tag match at WrestleMania 38 put him on the shelf, and he returned to WWE in 2023 before being drafted to SmackDown in April. He didn't do a lot. His last televised SmackDown match was in May, though he was part of the SummerSlam Battle Royal. Boogs was part of last Thursday's releases, and Dave Meltzer noted that Boogs' lack of screen time was one of the reasons he, and several others, got their pink slips. Meltzer wrote in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the key to the releases were talent making main roster money but not being used on the main roster, and with the idea that they were not going to be used in the future. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select noted that Aaliyah, for example, had not been factored into WWE's creative plans for over a year. When SRS would ask about her not being used on TV, he would be told that she wasn't injured, she just wasn't considered for anything. Mustafa Ali and Dana Brooke reportedly were among the releases because they were making main roster money down in NXT with no plans on ever bringing them back to the main roster. Shanky is another name in the Creative Has Nothing For You group, with SRS reporting that he was another name that was never brought up in a creative sense once Triple H took over creative. When the releases were happening, one top talent told SRS most of the list of releases barely had a chance considering they weren't booked, and called it a circle that couldn't be escaped. And things changing once Triple H took over is being cited as the reason Boogs was released by the man himself. Boogs has a YouTube channel designed for his weightlifting and comedy, and in his most recent video noted that his release was a backstage political power play, promising that he will one day speak freely about the subject, saying it will be juicy and he'll go into all of the nitty-gritty details. Some of those details can be found in the replies in the comments section, where he tells one viewer, "I can say with 100% certainty the removal of Vince McMahon killed my career." The comment he was replying to posits the idea that WWE is removing toxic masculinity from their shows, and one person goes as far to say that Boogs' physique and size held him down, or as they put it, WWE are taking the testosterone out of WWE. Boogs replied to this saying, "I can't wait to give my opinion, because it sounds like we're totally on the same page." Fans have theorized since Vince's removal from creative last year that there were Vince guys and Triple H guys. It doesn't take a scientist to notice that once Triple H took over booking, guys like Tommaso Ciampa ended up back on TV just like their NXT characters. Groups like The Way were put back together, and there are still persistent rumors that DIY will make their main roster debut once Johnny Gargano returns to TV. Crikey, all of the examples I just gave there were very Johnny and Ciampa focused. But there is others. There's JD McDonough. JD was brought to the main roster and put into a storyline with Judgment Day, but then Vince came back into the creative process a few months ago, and that story wasn't featured on TV anymore. The week that Vince was off again due to his surgery, the story resumed. Now, you could look at that as a coincidence, but a tinfoil hat fan might tell you otherwise. Boogs backs up the idea of Triple H not pushing Vince guys in another comment, with one fan noting that he should be the ideal WWE superstar because he is a larger-than-life character, to which Boogs replied pretty much everyone on the corporate side of the company agreed, which is why I was always the third-party guy doing commercials for Old Spice, Snickers, Mike's Hard Lemonade, and Toyota. However, one person clearly has some weird grudge against me, and this has led several fans online to point the finger of blame on that one person being Triple H. What do you think of Rick Boogs' comments? Let me know in the comments down below. But changing gears slightly, it's time to head on over to our own Brian Children, who's returned to the WrestleTalk news and has provided his first bit of wrestling commentary on this NGW match.
Oh, and a big kick there. Lovely stuff. Oh, ducks underneath. Flippity-doo-dah, flippity-day. Oh, we love to see it. Oh, it's beautiful stuff. He's taking a breath. He's pointing at his ear, but that's not going to be helpful. Oh, a reversal. A lovely little cuddle. Another little cuddle. A third cuddle. It's going to be a third cuddle supreme. Can he? Oh, a roly-poly. Haven't seen them since primary school. And a kick in the head. That's what you get for trying to roly-poly with the best. And another kick to the head, and he goes outside. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Oh, he's going up. He's on the ropes. Down he goes. Oh dear. Sayonara. Oh, Big Bosh. Big Bosh. He's happy with that. He's screaming. He sort of lightly tapped it on the back. But, oh, a kick to the head as well. These people love kicking each other in the head. Why do they do it? We don't know. Flippity-doo-dah. We love to see it. Clutching his knee in victory.
Excellent work as always, Brian. I look forward to future installments. That man literally can do it all. Other WWE releases from last week have been using video platforms to share their stories, with Marseille and Mansoor joining each other on Twitch to tell tales of their time in WWE, dropping some fun nuggets of information along the way. For example, Mace thought he was going to be fired after a spot with Braun Strowman went wrong on an episode of SmackDown. The idea was that Strowman would bowl through them while holding lunchboxes, and then he'd open up one of those lunchboxes and eat a sandwich, because this is a show written for children. However, when Strowman barged into Mace, the lunchbox flew into the crowd. The decision was made on the fly for Braun to beat up Mansoor while Mace tried to find the sandwich. Amazingly, Mace thought the management was going to think he went into business for himself by throwing the lunchbox and was worried that he was going to be fired. But another interesting note that they revealed on a recent Twitch stream is that the character of Maxine Dupree was created before anyone was even cast in the role. Mansoor said they made a Maxine Twitter, which we thought was a role play. They followed us and we got a text, follow back the Maxine Twitter account. Hilariously, LA Knight, who was still Max Dupree at that point, was worried that the character would just be him in a dress. The decision on who was going to play Maxine was left until the day before the character debuted on TV, according to Mason Mansoor, but they did reveal who it was going to be until it was changed to the Maxine we know today. We heard Maxine Dupree was going to be Tiffany Stratton. We heard that was very close to happening until the last minute. I think we can all agree that that worked out better for all parties involved. Well, apart from Mason Mansoor, of course, because, you know, they lost their jobs. So, sorry guys. You know, if you want to come on the WrestleTalk news, chat to us and plug your stuff. You're more than welcome to. But while some others have lost their jobs, someone new could be heading to WWE, and it's not just Jade Cargill. Fightful Select are reporting that Sami Callihan is finishing up with Impact Wrestling, with his contract coming to an end in just under a week, the end of September to be exact. Callihan has been praised by those in the industry as one of the most underutilized guys working today, which is saying a lot when he's had a massive push in Impact Wrestling. Sean Rossap adds in his report that Impact are keen to keep hold of Callahan's services, and both sides are talking about a new deal. He does, however, add that Callahan is free to speak and negotiate with other companies like AEW and WWE. And Mike Johnson of PW Insider is reporting there is already interest in him from multiple companies, not just as a wrestler, but also as an agent and producer. Johnson adds that while the relationship between Callahan and Impact is amicable, the belief backstage at the last tapings is that he is now done with the promotion. The producer and agent thing is leading a lot of people to assume that WWE has interest in him. They recently brought in Nick Aldis to be a producer and agent for the company, and Robert Roode has also transitioned into that same role. Callahan is a smart guy, and that would be a great use of him, but I'd be sad if we didn't get to see Sammy have a great run in one of the two big promotions in North America. The dude is awesome. And lastly for now, NXT star Nikkita Lyons has provided an update on her injury recovery, posting on Instagram that she is now able to train in ring again, which means she could be back rather soon. And she made this announcement by twerking. I'm not sure we can even show this video. Is this going to get us demonetized? Are we going to get in trouble for this? I mean, should we pixelate it? Is that too much? Is that censoring? Should we pixelate? Should we, what's the word I'm looking for? Soften it? Can't say we can improve it. Soften it, maybe? Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's way better. Yeah, I think that's a perfect video to illustrate Nikkita Lyons' return from injury. I can't see this clip being shared out of context on Twitter or Instagram at all. So, yeah. Good work, us. That's all we've got time for on this edition of the WrestleTalk News. Why not go and check out the latest episode of The 3 Count with me and Chopper P. Quinnell, where we predict all of Fastlane in 3 words or less. But because no matches have actually been announced for Fastlane yet, it's just us making lots of silly jokes.
Can't control Raw.
Yeah, he can't.
I mean, he probably can't control SmackDown either, but Raw he seems to have real trouble with.
Maybe win sometimes.
Escape.